I wanted to recommend something to you. I wanted to recommend something to you. It's a TV series. It's on BBC. I watched on BBC iPlayer. I'm not too sure where it's going to be available wherever you are in the country or you are in the world. But it's also got a season. There's two seasons of it. I didn't know. I thought there was only one season, but there is two seasons. So don't spoil the second season for me. But I watched the first season, and I really enjoyed it. It kind of hit close to home. It kind of hit close to home some of the subject matter that they were speaking about, but I really did enjoy it. It was a really creative, not creative. It was really interesting premise on like a whodunit on a thriller, and the show is called Blood. The show is called Blood, Blood. It came out, I think, in 2018, 2019. And the whole premise of the series, just to give you kind of a brief synopsis, is the series opens with this lady, the blonde lady there on the left hand side. She's a bit ratty. She's a little bit, I wouldn't say neurodivergent, but she's a little bit anxiety ridden. And she's on her way back home because her mum unfortunately passed away, but she wasn't there when her mum passed away, so she's trying to get back as quick as possible to be there with her family and shit. But as she's kind of going back to meet up her family, you find out through little tidbits that she's not, they don't get on too well. She's like the black sheep of the family. And you find out as well that she has a very contentious relationship with her dad. But her siblings, brother and the sister, don't see the dad as bad as she does. Like, she thinks the dad's like a bad dude, super evil, very manipulative, gaslights her and shit. Loads of mental abuse, like loads of mental abuse, right? Loads of bullying, loads of weird shit going on there. But but her siblings can't see it. Her siblings can't see it, and what you get the idea of towards the first, just the first episode, you get the idea that essentially her family have made her feel like she's crazy from the time that she was a child. She's always made her feel crazy for how she feels about her treatment that she gets directly from her dad, and the fact that the dad doesn't treat the other kids like that, So it's a really kind of interesting complex. So then by the time she gets back to the house, and to meet her siblings and her dad, it then quickly transpires that the daughter immediately doubts whatever version of events happen in terms of her mum passing away. She's not buying it. She's not buying it in the slightest. And obviously throughout the whole series, it kind of plays out about what really happened to her mum, how did she actually pass away, and then we get loads of flashbacks. But I thought it was a really, 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 really good series. Honestly, I really enjoyed it, and there was a couple of times I had to kind of collect myself and pause it, because there were some moments where I was like, oh my god, man, this is very, very, very reminiscent of my upbringing and some of the issues that I had growing up, which is kind of cool, I think, because I'm not too sure about you guys, but I think when you're younger, right, especially living at home, if you're going through a tough time, coming into your own and shit, just maturing, whatever else it may be, you for some reason believe like you're the only person going through what you're going through. You think you're the unluckiest person in the world. How did I get put here? Why are they like this? Why don't they just understand? Leave me alone. Whatever thoughts you have in your head, right? I'm 16. I can do what I want, right? You have this really strange perception of the world. You think everybody else's upbringing and childhood is perfect, and yours is the worst ever. But really and truly, the older you get, or the more experience, or the more people you speak to, the more life experiences you have, the sooner you realize that there are different people on different levels of the socioeconomic ladder who go through the same things that you do, and sometimes worse. Because in this particular story, these people are not poor. They come from a pretty middle class, maybe upper middle class background. They live in a nice country house somewhere, or each kid has a decent enough job and shit, whatever. I think one of the kids is living in a house rent free and shit. Like, it's not like it's like a well-to-do kind of family, and they're still going through weird family shit, and some of the stuff that you would imagine would only be applying to people that come from like maybe poor, disadvantaged backgrounds. So it's always kind of interesting when you see these type of things play out the way they do, because like I said, I remember when I was younger, especially at home, you really did think, well, at the time, especially for me anyway, I felt like I was the only person going through what I was going through, and everybody else had some sort of like idyllic, almost Disney-esque upbringing that they had at home, and really the reality was we all had our problems, we all had our issues, and we were all just trying to figure it out the best way possible. My mistake that I made, if I had to look back on myself and say, you know what, if there is, because I'm a big believer in personal accountability, extreme ownership, and everything is your fault. If I have to take that lens, if I have to take that perspective and think about how I fucked up, I think the big mistake that I made, and I think sometimes a lot of people do this, or maybe I'm the only one that did this. For some reason, when I was living at home, I tried to make my parents understand me. I tried to convince them of what I was feeling. I wanted them to understand where I was coming from. That was the biggest mistake ever. That was the biggest mistake ever. If you know anything about traditional African families, immigrant families, there is no convincing, there is no conversation. It's their way or the highway. If you don't like it, go out. So what I should have done was just suck it up. Suck it up. Don't fucking complain. Don't fucking cry. And then whenever you get your job, save up money and then leave. But I spent so much time trying to convince, trying to corral, trying to, have these fucking big meetings where you sit down and try to talk about this. And then throughout those big fucking meetings, quote unquote, it turned into a fight, it turned into an argument, and I'm sure some of you guys are the same. My parents know how to press my buttons so well. My parents know how to press my buttons so fucking well. So they'll be pressing my buttons, I'll explode, I'll say something out of turn, right? I'll maybe use the wrong phrase, or maybe come across a bit rude, a bit confrontational, a bit aggressive, and then suddenly whatever point I had is gone. Whatever point I had is eviscerated. Now they're gonna hold on to that thing. You see, you're not a good son. Well, look what you've done. Look what you said. How dare you speak to me? And then it's like, oh my god, here we go. So that's the main mistake I made. I should have never made that mistake. I should have never made that mistake. But then my little brothers, which is why this fucking series triggered me, my little brothers got away with it scot-free because I was the oldest. So I was the one that was getting most of the fucking pelters. They didn't really see it because they were hiding behind me, figuratively speaking. And to be fair to my little brothers, they also had for whatever reason, maybe because they learned off of me by just observing, or maybe because they're just, more attuned. I think to be fair to them, I think they're a lot more perceptive than I am. I think my brothers are a lot more perceptive socially. I think they're able to read situations a bit better. So maybe they were able to just understand my parents as people better than I was. I think I just saw them as people that I had to kind of combat and fight against. I think they just saw them as humans, and they were able to kind of play them off each other a bit to their advantage. But they didn't really see any of the stuff that I saw, and they were able to kind of get away with it scot-free. And most of it, I think, was because they had the ability to just be like, you know what? This is their place. We're gonna just keep it moving, and they're still living at home to this day. I could never have done it. My little brothers are still living at home to this day, thriving and living their best lives. But it's because they've been able to just know, okay, let's there are certain things we can't do here because of how they are. We're gonna allow it. We're not gonna fight for our right to fucking party or whatever, and we're gonna keep it moving. So that's something that I think you learn, obviously, with age, with maturity, and blah 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 blah. But I did get a lot of it from that series. Honestly, it felt weird watching this. It really made me feel somewhat uncomfortable sometimes. Like I was like, oh my god, did this happen to me? I remember this. I remember being made to feel crazy because I had a problem with something. I don't know what it was at home or something, and you're getting gaslit. And this is before the term gaslit even was invented. You're being gaslit by your parents. Like, hold on, like I'm not crazy. Like my feelings are valid, but really they're not. Really they're not. That's one thing you have to know. Really they're not. You're better off just like grinning and bearing it, sucking it up and going elsewhere. If that's I guess my advice. I'd say it's a bit counterintuitive, but what can we do? What can we do? What can we do?